The parade ground buzzed with nervous energy. Soldiers in crisp uniforms stood in perfect formation, their boots gleaming under the harsh sun. Today was the day General Maxwell, a man forged in the crucible of countless campaigns, was inspecting the troops. His reputation preceded him. He was as sharp as a bayonet and missed nothing. As he moved down the lines, his eyes, like a hawk's, scanned every detail. Suddenly, he stopped. His gaze was fixed on a young woman standing at the end of the line. She wasn't a soldier. Her attire was simple, a plain dress that stood out against the sea of camouflage and dress blues. But it was the object pinned to her chest that drew his ire. It looked like a badge, but it was unlike any military insignia he had ever seen. And who might you be? General Maxwell's voice boomed, cutting through the silence. Every soldier tensed. He strode towards her, his face a mask of stern authority. "What is this trinket you're wearing? Is this some kind of joke?" The woman, who couldn't have been older than 25, met his gaze without flinching. Her name was Clara, and her calm demeanor seemed to only fuel the general's annoyance. "This is a restricted military event, young lady. That badge of yours is not regulation. In fact, it looks like a cheap imitation, something from a toy store." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the nearby officers, quickly silenced by the general's glare. He gestured to two military police officers. "Escort this woman off the premises and confiscate that fake badge." Clara stood her ground as the MPs approached. "With all due respect, General," she said, her voice steady and clear, "I have every right to be here. This badge is not a fake."
Hey.
The general let out a short, humorless laugh. The sheer audacity of this woman was astounding. A right to be here? This is a high-security military inspection, not a public park. Your little piece of tin means nothing here. He reached out, his intention clear, to rip the badge from her dress himself. It was a moment of pure tension. The entire parade ground held its breath. Thus, watching the confrontation between the grizzled four-star general and the mysterious young woman, what could possibly give her the confidence to stand up to a man like Maxwell? Just as his fingers were about to touch the badge, Clara took a step back. "General," she warned, her tone shifting from calm to commanding. "I would advise against that." She carefully unpinned the badge and held it out on the palm of her hand for him to see clearly. "Throw." The general scoffed, ready to dismiss it again, but then he froze. His eyes widened, and the color drained from his face. The derisive smirk vanished, replaced by an expression of pure, unadulterated shock. It wasn't a toy. It wasn't a cheap imitation. The badge was solid gold, intricately designed. And there, in the very center, embossed with unquestionable authority, was the official seal of the President of the United States. A wave of disbelief washed over the onlookers who were close enough to see. The whispers started immediately. Who was this woman? Why did she have a presidential direct access medallion? General Maxwell felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. He had seen that seal before, but only in the most secure, high-level briefings at the Pentagon and the White House. It was a symbol of ultimate authority, granting the bearer unchecked access and direct communication with the nation's commander-in-chief. It was a pass that outranked every star on his own shoulder. He had just publicly humiliated and threatened to arrest a person with a direct line to the president. The general's mind raced, replaying his own arrogant words. Fake badge, trinket, escort her off the premises. He felt a profound sense of dread. In a split second, his entire world had been turned upside down. The power dynamic had shifted so completely, it was dizzying. He looked from the golden seal in her hand, back to her face. Her expression wasn't triumphant or smug. It was neutral, patient, as if she were waiting for him to process the magnitude of his mistake. The two MPs who had been moving to restrain her were now frozen in place, their faces pale with alarm. They looked to the general for guidance, but he was speechless. Slowed finally, after what felt like an eternity, General Maxwell found his voice, though it was now barely a whisper. My sincerest apologies, ma'am. He snapped to attention, executing the sharpest, most respectful salute of his entire career. I was not aware. I deeply regret my error. Every officer and soldier who witnessed the exchange immediately followed his lead, their salutes a ripple of deference across the field. 2. The air was thick with a new kind of tension, not of confrontation, but of awe and confusion. Clara simply nodded, her composure unbroken. She pinned the badge back onto her dress. The president sent me, she stated simply. There's a matter of national security we need to discuss. In private. She gestured towards the general's command tent. Now, if you don't mind, General Maxwell, still visibly shaken, could only nod. Course, ma'am. Right this way. See. Turned to Lita. He gave a curt, dismissive wave to his aide. Dismiss the troops. Inspection's over. The soldiers, relieved and utterly bewildered, were dismissed. They marched off the field, their minds buzzing with speculation about the woman who had brought the formidable General Maxwell to his knees with nothing more than a small golden badge. As Clara walked past the general's staff, they parted like the sea, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and respect. She had arrived as an anonymous civilian and was now the most powerful person on the base. Inside the command tent, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken questions. General Maxwell offered her a seat, an act of courtesy that now felt like a desperate plea for forgiveness. Ma'am, he began, his voice strained. I cannot express how sorry I am for the misunderstanding. Clara waved a hand dismissively, getting straight to the point. Let's forget about it. General, we have more important things to worry about. She opened her briefcase and pulled out a file marked with the highest security classification. The president was alerted to a credible threat against the space's cyber warfare division. He sent me to oversee the response personally and to ensure your full cooperation. The general's face hardened, his professional instincts taking over. This was his world, his command? A threat? My intelligence team has reported nothing. Clara looked at him. That's because the breach is coming from inside your intelligence team. The president's sources are... impeccable. The implication was clear. His own trusted officers were compromised. The news hit Maxwell like a physical blow. The security of his base, the loyalty of his men, all thrown into question. He realized now that his earlier arrogance wasn't just embarrassing. It could have been catastrophic. Hard. He succeeded in throwing her out. He would have remained blind to the viper in his own nest. The woman he had dismissed as a nobody was here to save his command, and possibly the country, from a disaster. His respect for her deepened into profound gratitude. The parade, the inspection, his own pride, all seemed so insignificant now. The real test had just begun. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more incredible stories.